high up in the mountains of Peru, 850 miles north of the Gate of the Gods, is a breathtaking 2-mile-long plateau. Another area of reported high magnetic energy. For centuries, it has been considered a powerful sacred place among the Incan people. It's called Marawasi.
Marawasi is a very beautiful region in Peru. Marawasi is said to have had very bizarre energy. People go there and they experience bizarre energy patterns.
The local people say it is a place of the wizards and gods and genies of old, and they treat it with a great deal of veneration. When people go there, they report a special kind of frequency and energy, a euphoria, in fact.
Most geologists consider the many stone formations on the plateau to be naturally formed, born of millions of years of erosion and other natural processes. But is there more here than first meets the eye? Some consider Marawasi to be a massive sculpture garden, filled with carvings left behind by an ancient civilization.
This is a region whereby stones are not just stones. What we have here is almost like a Disneyland of the gods. The question then is this a purely natural phenomenon, or is this something more?
Could this be not just a collection of rocks, but a sanctuary of stone monuments made by people tens or even hundreds of thousands of years ago? Researcher Daniel Russo was the first to make this claim in 1952.
Daniel Russo was shown a photograph of a huge, colossal stone head up in the high mountains above Lima. And he made an expedition there just to see this stone head. But he was astonished to find that on this tiny mesa were hundreds of carved stones.
There are those who believe the rock formations depict animals and people not indigenous to South America. They see in them figures such as an African queen, the Egyptian god of fertility, Tawaret, depicted as an upright hippopotamus, a camel, and many others. One formation, known as the Monument to Humanity, features what appears to be a Western face on one side and a Middle Eastern one on the other. Is it really possible that so many formations, which appear to depict figures from around the world, could coincidentally be found on a single plateau? Or if they are man-made, who may have carved them?
The local legends say that it is a place of the ancient giant gods, that the gods created this. In fact, when the Spanish chroniclers came to Peru and investigated the ancient shamanic religions of Peru, they told a story of Viracocha, the creator god, who arrived in the guise of a man to walk and inspect his lands. And he had given them different orders, and there were some rebel nations that were not doing what they were supposed to do, and he promptly turned them to stone.
The name Marawasi provides a clue to its origins and mystery. The word itself predates the Incan Empire. Marawasi scholar and researcher Daniel Russo believed the name meant two-story house and referred to the strange complex of buildings located on the site.
That really raises the question that scholars and theologians have been trying to figure out for many years. Is there an Atlantean or some lost civilization? So Marawasi puts that question back on the map. Could this be possible? Were there transoceanic cultures visiting thousands of years ago off the books of recorded history?
According to Daniel Russo, the ancient civilization that created Marawasi were a people known as the Mosma. And supposedly, Peru was not their only home.
The Mosma was this very, very ancient advanced civilization, advanced culture, if we want to call it that seems to have been global, seems to have traveled worldwide at a very early period. And Rousseau spent much of his time looking around the world for evidence of this advanced civilization, and he thought he found it at Marawasi. He actually saw Marawasi in many ways as being like a huge sculpture garden that the Mosma had built there.
If such a worldwide community existed, what happened to it? Was it, as some believe, wiped out in the Great Flood described in the Bible?
It's very interesting that these carvings are found at 12,000 feet, because that kind of implies that civilization started at the top and then worked its way back down as the waters of the flood receded. It's almost as if the first thing they did when Noah's Ark descended and maybe landed at Marawasi, was to record all the animals that they had collected, if you buy the whole concept of a story of saving what was left of humanity and saving what they could of the animal kingdom.
If these are real sculptures, or even natural formations that were touched up, they are so old geologically that all we can really do is fall back to some of the speculations of people like Daniel Rousseau that this was some kind of very ancient civilization.
Perhaps, indeed, there were ancient gods. Perhaps there was a race of beings of very high-minded nature that came here in the early times that helped mankind and that have been overseeing their handiwork.
I suspect that they were trying to record something about their beliefs, their civilization, something that could be passed on to future generations. They may have realized that they were not going to last forever, and they wanted to leave some kind of mark, some kind of record, maybe even some kind of warning for future generations.